This is the Quick Flicks Recap. Today I'm going to tell you about the Tokyo Ghoul movie. Ken Kaneki is hanging out at a cafe with his friend Hideyoshi Nagachika. Ken is a shy guy. He likes to read and doesn't enjoy socializing. But Hyde, on the other hand, loves to chat. Right now, he's curious if Ken has ever seen a ghoul. These creatures live all over Tokyo and feed on humans. There have been several attacks in the area where Ken and Hyde live. The friends' conversation is interrupted by the appearance of a girl named Rise. Ken has been admiring her for a long time, but never dared to talk to her. This time, Hyde decides to push his friend to talk, and it works. The book the friends grab falls right at Rise's feet. It turns out she also loves this author and would be happy to discuss his work with Ken. The cafe's waitress, Touka, watches their awkward conversation. She knows Rise and understands where this will lead. Next time, Touka spots them having a date at a diner. Rise orders sandwiches but doesn't eat a single bite. She's more interested in watching Ken eat. In the evening, when Kaneki walks Rise home, she admits she's been watching him too. She presses her whole body against him and then bites into Ken with her teeth. It turns out Rise is a ghoul and she went out hunting. After playing with her prey for a while, she releases her kagune and prepares to devour him.
What a wonderful scream! Absolutely amazing!
But suddenly, an accident happens. A load being lifted by a crane falls right on Rise. The injured Ken is taken to the hospital. Here, they transplant Rise's organs into him to save his life. She won't need them anyway. Rise died instantly. The doctor takes responsibility for this risky operation. Meanwhile, two investigators who hunt ghouls finish another mission. Their names are Kotaro Amon and Kureo Mado. They notice a wedding ring on the ghoul they killed and conclude he was married, which means they also need to find and eliminate his wife, if she's a ghoul too. The only clue leading to her is a microscopic fiber stuck to the dead man's shirt. Amon and Mado's assistant, Kusaba, takes on the task of finding the manufacturer of the fabric. Ken returns to school, and Hide invites him to celebrate his recovery at a cafe. But Ken can't touch his food. It disgusts him. After forcing down one bite, he collapses onto the table and almost throws up. At home, he tries to eat normal food again, but nothing works. He learns that ghouls can only eat human flesh or other ghouls. Everything else is inedible for them. Hungry, Ken goes outside, where hundreds of appetizing human bodies pass by. He smells meat from an alleyway and follows the scent. A ghoul is having dinner there. He offers Ken a bite, but suddenly Nishiki and Shu, who own this hunting ground, appear and kill him. Only Shu is allowed to eat here, and he kills anyone who violates that rule. However, Touka, who happens to pass by, steps in to protect Ken. She reminds Nishiki this feeding spot belonged to Rise, but since she's dead, Shu decided to take it over. Anteiku, which oversees feeding territories, won't tolerate that, so Touka drives Nishiki out. Kusaba identifies the fiber found on the ghoul's clothing. It turns out the material is produced in France. Amon decides to personally search stores that sell dresses made from this fabric. Ken is slowly going insane from hunger. He comes to Touka and begs her for food. Ken can't eat human flesh. He simply refuses to become a murderer. Touka tries to push him away, but Anteiku's owner, Yoshimura, appears and invites Ken inside. There, Yoshimura serves him coffee, and Kaneki is shocked to realize he can drink it without disgust. Delicious. Yoshimura helps people like Ken. Before Ken leaves, he gives him a bag of human meat. Ghouls can't stay hungry for long, but Ken throws it away. He just can't bring himself to try it. Because of constant starvation, one of Ken's eyes turns red. It exposes him as a ghoul, so Kaneki covers it with a bandage, and Hide says he has an infection. Hide takes him to see a friend, who turns out to be Nishiki. Nishiki decides Hide will make a good snack and knocks him out. But Ken refuses letting his friend die and steps in. A kagune bursts out of Nishiki's back as he starts beating Ken. Enraged, Kaneki unleashes his own kagune, tentacles emerging from his back, and defeats Nishiki. He then begins licking blood off Hide's face. At that moment, Touka and Yomo arrive, and Ken stops. The wounded Hide is taken to the hospital, and Ken wakes up at Yoshimura's. The old man offers him a job at the cafe. Amon discovers which stores sell dresses made from the fabric and obtains CCTV footage. He sees a woman buying such a dress for her daughter. He realizes he must find this mother and daughter. They must both be ghouls. The same mother and daughter are currently at Yoshimura's cafe. Hinami and Ryoko have found shelter here after losing the head of their family. In the evening, Ken learns where Yoshimura gets meat for the ghouls. Yomo picks up fresh human corpses from places where people commit suicide. These bodies are then butchered and served to ghouls. The Anteiku group learns that Amon and Mado are hunting Ryoko and her daughter. The old man decides to find them a new home and forbids them from going outside. Touka takes Ken to a mask maker to craft him a ghoul mask. He must not be recognized during hunts. When Ken returns to the cafe, Hinami asks him to take her to her father's grave. She wants to leave coffee beans, his favorite. But Ken can't risk her life, so he takes the beans and goes alone. Kusaba is waiting for him in the park. He was expecting Ryoko, but an unknown ghoul appears instead. Ken leaves the beans at the spot where Hinami's father's belongings are buried. When he leaves, Kusaba and Amon dig up the box. Eventually, Ryoko and Hinami head to their new home. On the way, they are ambushed by Amon and Mado. Hinami manages to escape.
I'll be fine.
But they kill Ryoko right in front of her daughter. Touka can't let this go. That evening, when Amon and Kusaba are returning from dinner, she attacks them. Kusaba sees her first and pushes Amon away, taking the full blow himself. Touka tries to finish Amon, but Mado appears and drives her back. Touka has to retreat, but she does not abandon her revenge. Her thirst for revenge spreads to Ken too. He comes to Touka and asks her to teach him how to fight. Exhausting training begins. Ken strengthens his body and learns to control his kagune. This is a ghoul special hunting organ used as a weapon. Yoshimura takes Hinami under his care and lets her stay with him. Mado and Amon hope to lure the girl out and finish what they started. Ghouls have an incredible sense of smell, so Mado decides to use a part of Ryoko's body to set a trap for Hinami. And the girl really senses the familiar smell and leaves her safe place. She finds her mother's hand at the spot where Ryoko was killed. Hinami spots Mado and starts chasing him. Meanwhile, Touka discovers Hinami's disappearance and rushes to find her. She arrives just in time. Mado doesn't have a chance to kill Hinami. Touka fights him. Mado turns out to be very strong. He uses Ryoku's kagune to defend himself from Touka's attacks and strike back. Say hi to mommy. Touka seems unable to defeat him, but Hinami intervenes. She wants everything to stop, so she releases her own kagune and attacks Mado. Hinami cuts off his hand, and Touka finishes him. Ken tracks down Amon and attacks him right in the street. Amon's car flips over, but he survives unharmed. They begin fighting, and during the battle, Ken bites off a piece of Amon's flesh and loses control. He's about to kill Amon, but remembers he is still half human and refuses to become a murderer. Ken leaves Amon alive and goes to find Touka and Hinami. He helps them get home while Amon says goodbye to his fallen partner. Hideyoshi survives the attack. He spends some time unconscious in the hospital, but eventually wakes up and begins to recover. Hide learns about the bloody events involving his friend from the news. Amon buries Mado and visits his grave. He doesn't forgive the ghouls for killing his partner. Ken stays working at the cafe. He realizes that Yoshimura, Touka, and the others have become his second family. That's all for today. Leave a like and write a comment if you want more videos like this.